This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
You are what you watch. Hello, my name is Harrington Watko. Welcome to the show. I figure that there has to be one or two, or maybe three at the most, priority issues we all need to discuss. And the sad part about it is we're not even talking about it, not at least on media. One, for example, globalization versus nationalization. Where do you stand? Do we go forward as a global world? Or do we go backward and isolate ourselves? Make America first. Again, there you go. And in Europe, the changes, the populism is sweeping Europe in all countries. In the Philippines, it's happened with President Duterte. These are the issues that you and I need to discuss. Then, of course, there's the big issue about mining. We all need the minerals. We all need them, be it for oil, gas, steel, even gold and jewelry. And yet, do you allow mining versus the environment? Which way to go? How to understand this issue? The battle between Gina Lopez's confirmation is really all about legal versus what is correct. Now, because it is legal to mine, to extract, and to pollute, and because the laws were created by men, especially men of interest who promoted basically open pit mining. Well, which is the way it's going to go? The Senate has a hard issue to discuss, and either way, they're going to lose out. Poor Manny Pacquiao being the chairman of this committee. He probably thought it's a nice committee to sit behind, and pwede na yan, hindi masyadong komplikado. It's actually more complicated than that, because now the people are going to be up in arms when she is bypassed, so it seems. Then there's the other big issue. It's called federalism. It may not be a big issue, but in reality, it's a creeping issue that's already come to what we call current events. Now, in Mindanao, what's happening is the lawlessness has gone out of control. So much so, our president has made the threat. I will put you in martial law and instigate or propagate the concept of ASO, arrest, seizure, and with or without any court ruling, just take you and put the law away. Now, which is it? Now, federalism. Can you imagine if 60%, which is the statistic President Duterte puts forward to us, that the people, the executive, local executives in Mindanao have guns, are practicing mostly lawlessness, intimidation, threatening the people. Can you imagine federalism? It will only make them even more legal, so to speak, to actually become the oligarchs they're all growing into, if not already that. In this program, I'd like to tackle federalism. Anybody with a question mark? We've been talking about this in this program for the last 3 months, and I intend to keep pursuing it because I myself, one day I'm for it, the next day I'm not, depending on the current events I read. In Mindanao, I'm now scared. Should we turn federal? Why? Because the very local executives that are being hit by the very president, who comes from the same region. Gee, these local executives are obviously killers, drug movers, drug lords, etc. With us, we have a political analyst. He's been on the show many times, and he's very vocal about it, many different points of views, regardless of, without having any biases. And in fact, he posted on his FB page just last week or so. Is it possible that in the DPWH, these guys who have the billion-peso contracts, is it possible that no one is corrupt, or if no one there, I mean, if there's even one person that is not corrupt and does not take a commission? I tried to answer the question. I refused to reply, but in my mind I said, not possible. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Rick Ramos. Hi, Rick.
Hi,
Thanks for
Harry.
being on the show.
Thank
Let's
you.
go straight to the point. Boto ka ba sa federalismo?
Well, I've been an advocate of the federal system for the last 30 years. So there are the good points. So basically, the proponents of the federal system is to compensate for the injustice that was committed in the last 50 years, wherein areas, in particular Mindanao, where was not able to get its due share of the revenues. So basically, when they're talking now of federalism, the main rationale, it seems, is that they would
Distribution of income.
yeah, the sharing of the resources, of government resources, because the contention or the complaint is that most of these government funds are being too much concentrated in Metro Manila and Luzon and some in Visayas, and basically places like Mindanao and Palawan,
They get nothing.
are being overlooked.
Well, the rationale there, or what they proposed, the President Duterte group proposes that it'll be an 80-20 split. This time, the area, the states will get 80%, 20% will go to the national state. But what happens, basically I mentioned in the opening this issue, no less President Duterte mentioned it just last night or the night before in the PDP rally or something, where he says he threatened the local executives in Mindanao, who he says 65% are corrupt or they deal with lawlessness, meaning, I mean, the Abu Sayyaf, diba? Those who deal with them. Obviously, there is a connection with the local executives, especially in Mindanao. If we go into the federalism, these people will become even more powerful. How do you address that?
I think the approach should be in the improvement of the governance, which is from the shift from the presidential to the
You
parliamentary.
think they'll straighten up if it's 20-80? 28, yeah,
Well,
they'll
what-
get 80% of the bulk now?
Well, what will happen there is if you increase the revenues to the states that will be created under a parliamentary system, I'm sorry, in a federal form system, what will just happen is you're just increasing the amount of money that will be stolen by the local politicians.
Di ganun din, lalala din pala.
Yeah, and I think a good example is what happened in Palawan. Okay, you have two brothers, the Reyes brothers,
Yes,
the
yes,
former governor and the former mayor in Busuanga or Coron. So what happened was
Yun yung Joel Reyes, no?
yeah, they escaped the country because they are accused of the murder of the Dr. Jerry.
The commentator.
Yeah, the doctor. Anyway, so what happened was, if you would read the case now, what they did was, there was the share of the provincial government from the Malampaya Fund, worth about 1.5 billion, and the ombudsman have filed all cases against them. So basically, that's what will just happen. You're just increasing the government funds that will be stolen by the local
But
executives.
you and I are obviously federalism advocates so far. We both seem to agree that's the way to go. How can we help this group that is proposing the shift to federalism when we have issues like that? Pera-pera lang ang labanan sa local executive. They will have more to steal and they will have more authority and power. And wouldn't it be more dangerous to allow more empowerment to these people who are corrupted, who like to steal? Hindi kaya it will just establish the reign and they will now become not just terrorists but drug lords and oligarchs.
Exactly. It will just worsen or exacerbate the situation. What you need there is to strengthen the central government by shifting from the presidential to the parliamentary system. Because if you're going to maintain the presidential system and just move on to the federal form of government, then nothing will really happen. Then just look at examples like Mexico. Look what happened to Brazil.
Wala rin.
Look what happened to India.
So you are against having a president, dapat prime minister na lang, tsaka parliament.
Yeah, basically the parliamentary system is what will improve the quality of governance. And that is what matters. Because federalism per se, if you read, what's being written about by the proponents, is that they're just really looking at increasing their share of the government revenues.
Parang ganon.
And
No, but they will allow, let's say, we now have 17 regions. We turn them into 17 states. 3 representatives per state for the national parliamentary. And then in the local states, and they have 5 representatives which reform their state parliamentary. The problem is it has the addition of the president and vice president, which will be voted openly by the majority. It's what you call a mestizo, parang sa French system. Parliament, pero may presidente.
yeah, but the French model, the same thing with the Russian model. No? Basically, you have a strong president that will appoint
The
a
cabinet.
prime minister. But basically, if
No,
you're-
the prime. In this case, it's the prime minister will be voted by the parliament. Baliktad. Yung proponent ng the Duterte proposal.
okay.
If I'm not mistaken, it could have gone over my head, but that's to my understanding.
For me, what's important in the parliamentary system, number one, is that in the parliamentary system, you can have a good leader, which is hardly possible in a presidential system. Why? Because under the presidential system, okay, what you need are 2 things to become president, vice president, senator. You need popularity and you need money.
Yeah, correct.
Unlike in the parliamentary form of government, a member of parliament can be chosen by the ruling party or by the ruling coalition. Like in your case, if you ran as member of parliament for Muntinlupa and they see your qualifications, then they can vote for you. That's what happened to Margaret Thatcher in the United Kingdom. And Margaret Thatcher turned out one of the best, if not the best prime minister of the United Kingdom. And the other advantage in the parliamentary system is that the power resides in the party and not just in one person.
One person.
Unlike in the presidential system, that's why the presidential system is basically a dictatorship because everything, so much power is in his hands.
Ikaw ba boto ka kay President Duterte ngayon? Are you for Duterte? Do you think he's a good president so
Well,
far?
I supported him even when I
Not
was...
until today, in the 9 months he's been in government.
Even when I was in Australia recently, I was explaining to the Filipinos and the Americans. When I got back, I had 2 meetings with the ambassador of Argentina and Australia. And I explained to them why among the 5 candidates in the presidential election last year, it is Rodrigo Duterte who is in the best position to institute reforms in the Philippines.
In spite of the United Nations, Amnesty International, and the Human Rights Watch. In spite of the 3 oppositionists. Not to mention Laila de Lima, let's see, you have Drilon, Pangilinan, the Liberal Party, di ba? Who are after them, after him.
Well, in the same manner, let's say with the European Union, would they want us to be telling them how to run their affairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And yet they try to run our affairs here. Di ba? Parang ganun ang lumalaban. So, how would you try to correct the federalism that is being proposed by this body that was formed by the president? Saan tingin mo may mali?
Well, I share the same view with former President Fidel V. Ramos because we had a long discussion on this one. What we need to do is to put first the parliamentary system before you go federal. Okay? Because if you go first with the federal and then you go parliamentary afterwards, it's just like putting the proverbial cart before the horse.
So, unahin yung parliamentary.
Yeah, because you need to improve governance of the central government. Because without that, if you just have the federal form of government, then you have the same people, whether the oligarchs, the political dynasties,
They will
the
stay in place,
warlords. Yeah, they will just become more entrenched because they have a lot more resources to play around with.
But the proposal right now is simultaneous yung dalawa. Because if you go federal, we can stay the presidential system. But the problem is when you provide absolute power to the president, and absolute power we know corrupts absolutely. Di ganun din mangyayari niyan. Kaya gusto nila isabay. Kaya ba natin? And you know, the deadline of this, you're talking about October 2017. And yet, alam mo, we're not discussing it even on TV. It's rarely put up on print. Radio, it's all about all the nonsense, you know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, actually, the French model that they're proposing, wherein you have the president and the vice president, was basically what we had under the Marcos regime.
Sa bagay.
Wherein you had
The assembly.
when you had Cesar Berata as the prime minister.
But it was under siege. Takot lahat sila kay presidente kasi hawak niya yung budget. Ito, naiiba na in the sense that they will control their own, they will legislate their own budget, supposed to be.
Yeah. For me, what's important in a parliamentary system is wherein amongst the members of parliament, okay, the ruling party or the ruling coalition can choose the best amongst themselves, you know. Like in a parliamentary system, you know, there is no role for a, you know, there's no value for somebody like Joseph Strada, you know, who has the popularity.
He doesn't have the competence.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you don't need popularity. Because there in a parliamentary system, you would choose who is really the best among the members of parliament, and amongst yourself you would know. And I think a good analogy also is with the Catholic Church. Okay, when you elect the Pope, you have the College of Cardinals that elect the Pope because the cardinals among themselves would know who would be the best Pope. If you replace the system in the Catholic Church in the election of the Pope, so what will happen now is all Catholics around the world now will elect the Pope.
Okay, Rick, we're going to have to take a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not providing you definitive answers. We're not telling you this is the right way to go, this is the wrong way to go. It is not our place to tell you what is right, what is wrong. That's for you to identify. Our role is to generate critical thought. This way, we can help you understand which way you want the system to go. But before anything else, it requires discourse. So that means participation by you all. To be able to talk in the dining table, be it your children, your relatives, your friends. Find out which way is best. That way is the only way we can help build our country towards a progressive future. We'll be right back. Stay with us.